Hello people, I have another video for you today, and we're going to be looking at something that I've talked a lot in this channel about. So we're going to have a look at a mousepad, not just any mousepad, but the Razer Manticor. Now, I would recommend that you guys, before looking at this video, that you go onto my channel. I'll put the links in the description because I know you're lazy fucks and don't want to search. And look at the videos I did on the Razer Destructor, Scarab and Ironclad. Because I've owned all of most of Razer's high-end hard mouse mats in recent years. Before I go and talk about this one, I'm just gonna do a quick recap. Now, when I got the Destructor, I thought it was brilliant. Got the Scarab, that was brilliant. Ironclad also. They all had one problem. In my personal experience, after about 6 months, the surface would wear out and you couldn't really use them anymore. For example, on the Ironclad, the paint would peel off. It was basically unusable, at least for what the mousepad is supposed to do, be smooth and glide and stuff like that. If you want to use it as, bash someone's head, I'm guessing that will work because it's aluminum. I don't know. So the thing is that after my Ironclad, I stopped buying hard mouse mats because they are very expensive compared to soft rubber mouse mats, and I don't really think that they're really worth the money, because if you're gonna buy a mouse pad and then have to change it every 6 months, why should you spend a lot of money on it when you can just get, like a Razer Goliath or something, which I've been using for about a year now, and it's been great. It has no problem. It costs 30%, 40%, maybe half as much as an Ironclad or a mouse mat. But I decided to do something different. So I bought this Manticor. Now the Manticor is basically like the Ironclad 2.0. And now I've used this Ironclad for about almost 2 months now. The Ironclad, sorry, Manticor. I've used the Manticor for 2 months now. And I'm going to be sharing with you guys my thoughts on the matter so far. But I will say this, when I bought the Manticor, a local store was having like a huge sale, and I got it for like half price. So the cost element isn't affecting my personal user experience so much because I only paid half as much for it. If I would have paid full price, then maybe I would say things differently, but I'm still trying now to compare them. Now I am gonna compare my experience with the Manticor to what I've experienced in the past with Destructor, Scarab, Ironclad, all that stuff. But this is the box that the mouse comes in. Now I'm not gonna open it because the hard shell inside, oh maybe I'll just open it really fast if I can do this. Come on, baby. So the hard shell that comes in is virtually identical to the one that the Ironclad came in. So if you look at that one, it's basically the same thing. It's one of those throw me off a plane and I'm fine types of packaging, which I like it. It adds a lot of value to the product itself. Although I will say, and this is the first critique I have, and I had the same critique about the Ironclad. If I think back to the Scarab, that had a textile carrying case, and that textile carrying case was actually light enough and had a locking mechanism, and you could use that to carry around like standard A4 paper. And I used that when I went to university. I carried a lot of stuff in it. Sure, you couldn't pack it full of stuff because it was fairly thin, but you could still use it. Now this thing you can't because it's hard plastic, and you can't really carry it around because it's thick, it's heavy, and it's only shaped inside for the mouse pad. So yeah, if you're taking it on a plane or something and you put it in your bag and you make sure you don't want to get damaged or you're moving. I had the same thing when I was moving. I carried it in my put it in a car. I wasn't worried about it getting damaged or something, and yeah, I guess that's fine. But carry it around like this, like a stupid asshole, no, it's not gonna work because it's fucking huge and it's very heavy. So packaging wise, 10 plus, usual stuff that Razer has done over the past years. Now there is some stuff on the back here, and I'm not going to tell you that right now. We're going to have a look at the mousepad. Then when I go and talk about conclusions, I'm going to be referring to some of the things that they're saying on the back because I think that it's fairly important. Okay, so I'm going to bring you guys in to have a look at the mousepad itself, and then show the mousepad, all that stuff, and then we'll talk about the conclusion in the end, okay? So let's see. Okay guys, so this is a closer look at the mousepad. Now, I'm sorry, I have a black disc, the mousepad is black, the mouse is black, so it's gonna be horrible. Deal with it, okay? Just deal with it. Let me see if I can just pick this up. So you can see it's a matte finish. I'm bringing you closer in so you guys can see the surface maybe. I don't know if my camera is gonna be able to catch this, I don't really care. You can see this beautiful Razer logo. It's slightly textured on the bottom over here. Oh yeah, now you can see better. Slightly textured. It's very clean, you know, a very clean design. No writing on it, no stupid shapes. It's just a rectangle with rounded edges. And look at this, isn't this? Yeah, this sounds really nice. Now, look at this. First of all, you can see that it seems to be floating. So the rubber on the bottom doesn't go all the way to the edge, right? It's a bit, you know, cut a bit short. And that's on all sizes. I'm guessing that's on purpose. It gives the mousepad this look that it's floating, you see? Now, one thing I will say is that it is much thinner than the ironclad or the other hard ones. That's a plus in my opinion. I'm gonna talk about why I think that's a con in the conclusions, but it's a plus because when you put your hand on it, you know, this ridge right here is much smaller than on other hard mousepads. The ironclad was quite tall, you know, and this one being only 2.2 millimeters, I think, it's actually, you know, much easier, much friendlier to use, and doesn't scratch the back of your palm as much. Okay, so being that it's black, it's matte black, everything, I mean everything, even the smallest drop of sweat or every, you know, drop of milk or whatever you might get on it, juice, whatever, it stands up immediately, and you must clean it. So please, you keep it clean if you're gonna buy it, because if not, you're just gonna damage the surface. I've listened to this. I'm gonna rub my hands off it, and I'm gonna move the mouse. Now keep in mind, the microphone is over here, so it's only like this far away, but you see, you can hear that. That's very nice, nice sound to it, and you can see that the sound is uniform. It doesn't have any surface imperfections. The surface itself, I think it's probably the best surface I've touched on a mousepad. It's much smoother than any other mousepad, but at the same time, if you're doing stuff like this, like I do, you know, fingertip, you need to be smooth so you can do, you know, a few fast movements, but you also need control, because when you're working with high DPI and you're only doing this, you know, a fraction of a millimeter one way or the other can mean, you know, losing or winning. So yeah, you need a lot of control. Being able to combine the control of the surface with the smoothness is something incredible. Now I'm going to show you the noise makes when it moves. Now I'm going to use the what's it called, the ROG first. It is noisier than a normal mousepad, but in my opinion, it's not as noisy as other hard mousepads. I'm gonna use the Taipan now because the feet on this one are a bit different. Now, I'm hoping you guys can hear that. It is, as I said, not as quiet as a cloth mousepad, but it is much quieter than other hard ones, and I'm guessing that's down to the smoothness of the surface. So I'm gonna try to throw the mouse from this corner to this corner to see what happens. And you can see it's not really going anywhere. It's only gonna go as long as you apply force to it, any type of force, you know, movement. And I think that's great. I mean, it slides about, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the mousepad. I've discovered in time that mousepads that, you know, just glide too much don't offer you that great level of control that you expect. Now, one thing to say, you're not gonna be able to see this, but the feet on this Taipan, which is almost new, I've had it, I don't know, like maybe 6 months, I don't remember, were showing minimal signs of wear until I switched to this one. So, you know, keep that in mind. It's gonna wear out the mouse feet quite fast. So I think I'm just gonna move on to conclusion because I can't really show you more. I'm sorry I don't have better gear because to show you this properly, but you know, black mouse pad, black disc, black mouse, it's gonna be a nightmare. So let's move on to the conclusion. Conclusion time. Now, don't really know where to start because there's a lot of stuff to cover in this conclusion. I'll take them one by one. I'll start with maybe the good stuff first. I've seen in the beginning that when I use the Destructor, Scarab and Ironclad, I like them very much. They gave you a very different type of sensation when you use the mouse with them. The surface feedback was excellent on each of them, you know, better as you go up the scale, you know, from the Scarab to the Ironclad. And when I used the Ironclad, I was at the point where I said, yes, this mouse pad is very smooth, but also has a lot of texture, a lot of surface feedback. You know, you can feel what's happening with the mouse. And that sensation of having something being smooth, but at the same time giving you great surface feedback is something that they've really upped a notch on the Manticor. It's over here. Maybe instead of just picking up the box like a straight asshole, I should just pick up the mouse pad itself. Okay, so that feeling of smoothness, but at the same time, you know, giving you the feeling of control is something that they've improved on the Manticor over the Ironclad. If I would compare them, you know, directly, I would say that the Manticor is smoother than the Ironclad, and in the terms of control they give you, the amount of feedback you get from the surface when you're doing, you know, fingertip movement and stuff like that, and the amount of control they give you, I would say is about the same. So that means overall, in terms of smoothness and control, the Manticor is a better mouse pad. I'm just gonna pick out this box again. And on the box, they say ultra smooth sandblasted surface for the most effortless glide. Now, I don't usually buy into this whole marketing blah, 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 because I work in marketing, so I make up stuff like this. So that's not, you know, really a selling point for me. I much rather look at the product and make up my own mind. But this time, they are telling the truth. It is a effortless glide. You get surface feedback, control with a very, very smooth glide. And that's the main reason why I am saying now that of all the hard mouse pads I've used, the Manticor is the best one in terms of what a mouse pad is supposed to be. You know, if you have 1 hour in your life to use a mouse pad, that would be, in my opinion, the Manticor, because it's the best for what I had to do. Now, at the time I tested the Ironclad, I said basically the same thing. It was the best mouse pad I ever used. The problem was it lasted me 6 months. This baby, using it for 2 months, I don't see any type of damage on the surface. But then again, I never saw any type of damage with the other ones after 2 months. In terms of value for money, that was the biggest problem I had with the Ironclad and all of them. Very expensive, only lasted 6 months for me. So, value for money on this one. If I would have paid full price for it, not the retail, you know, flash sale I got, then I would say that the cost I pay for it, if it only lasts me 6 months, it's not a wise investment. If somehow they've made changes to the surface or paint or what the fuck they're putting on here, then I would think that this one is maybe, you know, a good buy. But I can't really say that right now. I can only tell you, you know, how it feels and how it's used to use. I can't really talk about how it will be in another 4 or 5 months time. Okay, so that was basically, you know, that was I would think the biggest, most important part of it. Another thing is that something they've done that I really like. You see, it's, you know, just a simple rectangle. No more funny shapes like the Destructor was, you know, it was like a bit round. Not like the Ironclad had bits at the top and at the bottom cut out. Basically, this means that you can put it vertically like this. You can use it any way you want. And another thing that really made me mad, some of them had writing, you know, like say Ironclad or destructor, what the fuck it was, on the bottom or on the top. And then if you went and put it like this, portrait mode, use it like this, then that writing wouldn't be in a funny angle. That would just drive me nuts. I can't stand that. But this one, being that it's very, very minimalistic design, you can put it any way you want, and I think that's great. And also the size, I think that in terms of size, this, which is, I don't know, I'm gonna just do something I don't usually do and read specs. It's where is it? 355 millimeters by 255 millimeters. It's what I would say perhaps the best size for a mouse pad. It's not too large, not too small. It's, it's, I would say, the ideal size for a mouse pad. And the fact that you don't have any stupid cutouts means that you're not losing any space. You can actually utilize the entire surface area of it. Disadvantage would be that they are, with being it is black and because of the surface, you can see anything on it. Even the smallest drop of sweat, food, drink, whatever you get on it, it's instantly visible. So you do have to keep it clean. That's one thing. Another thing, which I don't understand, I mean, basically I looked at this Manticor and I saw it as an evolution of the Ironclad. And that's what it is, it's an evolution. So I don't understand why they're going back in one area, which is the base. Now, previously, Razer used to have like a checkered pattern to the rubber on the base. For the Ironclad, they went with like a rubber, what are they called? Rubber spheres, rubber round bits. And those stuck to anything really well. Combine that with the overall thickness and weight of the mousepad, it wouldn't move anywhere. Now on this one, because they've made it so much thinner, what they've done is they've not only taken from the thickness of the aluminium itself, they've also taken from the thickness of the rubber base. So although you have the same design as the Ironclad, the thickness of the rubber is much smaller. So that in turn makes it not stick as well as the Ironclad. Not saying it's horrible and doesn't stay in its place. It does stay in its place, but it could stick much better if they would use the exact same thing, just make it a bit thicker. Because I don't know why having the mousepad be so thin would be an issue. Weight, yeah, I can understand weight being an issue, but as long as it sits on your desk, maybe just because they don't want it to be too high, so you could scratch your hand on it. I don't understand, but I would prefer to have this rubber a bit thicker. Well, I don't know if I missed something. Hope not. Yeah, one thing. You've seen the wear on the mouse feet on my Taipan. It looks like, at least until now, that mouse feet wear on this one, the same as the Ironclad, the same as any other hard mouse pad, not just Razer, any other hard mouse pad. Mouse feet wear is gonna be pretty high on this one, which is something it's something I come to expect. So, good conclusion. One, I hope, and this is the biggest one, I hope it lasts more than 6 months. If it does, it's something that I can truly recommend as a purchase. The biggest thing, in terms of user experience and how it feels, it's probably the best one I've ever used so far, and I'm not gonna change until it wears out, if it wears out. In overall design, I think it's probably one of the best designs of a mousepad I've ever seen. The only problem I had with the other ones, honestly, if the Destructor or the Scarab would have lasted, I would probably still be using them because they were great at the time, and the other ones were just evolutions of the same idea. The only problems basically with this one or the Ironclad before it is one, price. They're very expensive, but then again, nice things cost money. So price isn't so much an issue as long as they last. If they don't last more than 6 months, then yeah, price is an issue. So I guess that was it, guys. Hope you liked it. Have questions, ask me in the bottom, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.